I grew up in Chaseburg, Wisconsin, just south of La Crosse. It was about an hour and a half drive from there to here to UWP. I drove it many times back when I was here on campus. Was in the dorms for 2 years, then did a study abroad semester, and then lived in 3 different houses off campus. Well, I had a great group of friends, and I think probably my most memorable experience was graduation day. Graduated at the same time as that good group of friends, still keep in touch with a lot of them, and worked hard, but had a lot of fun. Was in cross country and track for my first couple of years here. Then did more other activities like student government, was involved in both SUFAC and student council, and graduated in '98. In fact, compared to other friends I've talked to, both with engineering degrees or other backgrounds, I really think Platteville was something special. I think in particular, having professors here who were teaching the classes themselves, as opposed to just having a TA in a 200-person lecture hall as you do at some of the bigger schools. And in particular, the real-life experience that you got here. It served me really well. When I was in the Peace Corps, building water systems in Honduras, has served me well. Even though I haven't used my engineering degree in my other jobs other than the Peace Corps, having that background and sort of real-life, reality-based education has really been great. Well, when I graduated in spring of '98, and at that time the economy was doing really well, and one thing the engineering school liked to do was keep track of everyone's starting salaries, and they were quite proud of how well everyone was doing. But I decided, instead of going out and getting an engineering job, that I was going to work on a political campaign. And so I think I ruined their statistics that year, because they don't pay that well on a political campaign. I worked for Russ Feingold, and then sort of started a couple of years where I would do a political campaign for a while, and then went out to grad school at UCLA. Then went off to the Gore campaign for a year and a half, back to UCLA, a couple other campaigns, finally finished my grad degree, and went to the Peace Corps in Honduras. Then that's where I got engaged to my wife, Rebecca. We moved back to Chicago, and that's how I ended up on the Obama campaign, which lasted almost 2 years, and when that was over, started my job with the administration. So what we do at the Council on Environmental Quality at the White House is coordinate the many different agencies that are working on environmental issues across the government. There's some issues the federal government works on where just one agency is involved, like all labor issues are over at the Labor Department. But in the environmental field, the Interior Department takes care of the public lands, except for the forests, which are at USDA. The oceans are covered by the Department of Commerce. Wetlands are usually done by the Army Corps of Engineers. The Energy Department is separate, and so on. So what we do for major initiatives, presidential priorities, we bring the agencies together to make sure the federal government is coordinated, make sure they're all moving in the same direction, and help get things accomplished. There's dozens of things going on in any one agency on any given day. So sometimes there's issues that just pop to the surface, like the oil spill that's happening in Louisiana right now, that our office is making sure different agencies are coordinating together on. And then sometimes there's long-standing things such as the push for climate and energy legislation that we're working on as well. So it's a great job. I really enjoy it. Any given day there's many different issues that might pop up. And so you learn a lot and feel like we're getting stuff done too. What's interesting is that agencies that don't have a traditional environmental aspect to them have a lot going on in the area of sustainability and greening. The Department of Defense, for instance, has major initiatives to find ways to tap into renewable energy, sustainability in their buildings and operations. Just about every agency now sees itself as green, whereas 20, 30 years ago it was seen as just sort of a side thing. Now sustainability is being built into the very operations of every agency. So that's made our job, I think, more important and interesting as well. And I like to say that living in Washington, D.C. is actually more like living in Platteville than it is living in New York or Chicago or Los Angeles. It's a fairly small town and everyone kind of works in the same business. So just like you might see 3 friends just going to the corner store here at Platteville, in DC you can't hardly ride the metro without running into a couple people you know. So it's almost like being back at Platteville. There's the labor department. If you're concerned about healthcare, there's HHS. But in the environment, I should probably shut my phone off.